The lighthouse stood on the edge of the land, a white tower against the gray sky. For years, it had been her father's whole world. Now, it was hers. She had come back to the coast to sell it, to clear it out, to say a final goodbye. The key was cold and heavy in her hand as she pushed open the heavy wooden door. Inside, the air smelled of salt, old metal, and the faint, sweet scent of her father's pipe tobacco, a smell that had followed him everywhere. It hit her hard, a wave of memory. She ran her hand over the curved stone wall, feeling the dampness. The spiral staircase wound upwards into the shadows, a path he had walked thousands of times. She did not go up the stairs. Not yet. First, there was the small living quarters at the base. A simple room with a small bed, a wooden table, 2 chairs, and a bookshelf filled with books about the sea and the stars. Everything was neat and tidy, just as he had left it. It felt like he had just stepped out for a walk along the cliffs. She sat down on the edge of the bed. The mattress was thin and hard. She could picture him sitting here in the evenings, reading by the light of a single lamp. He had been a man of few words. His conversations were with the sea and the ships he guided safely past the rocks. She had never really understood him. She had left this place as soon as she was old enough, chasing the noise and lights of the city. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from the real estate agent, asking when she would have the place cleared. She turned the phone off. Not yet. She needed time. She stood up and walked over to the wooden table. On it sat a small wooden box, the kind that might hold fishing lures or tools. She lifted the lid. Inside, there was no fishing gear. There were piles of paper, yellowed and soft. They were letters. She picked one up. It was addressed to her father, but the handwriting was unfamiliar. Carefully, she opened it. The date at the top was from over 20 years ago. The letter was short. It was a simple thank you. A sailor had written to say that the lighthouse beam had guided his ship safely through a terrible storm. He said he owed his life to her father and the light he kept. She read another. This one was from a woman, thanking him for the light. She said it was the first thing she saw each morning from her bedroom window, and it gave her hope during a difficult time in her life. There were dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Each one was a small story of gratitude. Her eyes filled with tears. She had always thought his life here was lonely and small. She never knew about these letters. He never told her. He had just quietly kept his light, never knowing how many lives he touched, or perhaps he did know, but he was too humble to say. She picked up another letter. This one was different. The envelope was thicker, the paper a little smoother. She opened it. Inside was a photograph. It was a picture of a family on a beach, smiling, their faces lit by the sun. There was a mother, a father, and a small girl holding a bucket and spade. On the back of the photo, in the same handwriting, was a date and a message. It read, "To the keeper of the light. This is my family. We were on our boat when the fog came in. It was so thick we could not see the bow. We were lost and afraid. Then we saw your light. It cut through the fog and showed us the way home. Thank you is not enough. We are forever grateful." The woman in the photograph looked happy. The little girl was laughing. Her father had saved them. He had saved so many people, and he had kept their gratitude hidden in this simple wooden box, never seeking recognition, never boasting. He had just done his job. She held the photograph gently in her hands. For the first time, she understood. His silence was not coldness. It was a deep, quiet love for his duty and for the people he would never meet. His conversations with the sea were prayers for the safety of those at sea. She looked around the room again. It no longer felt small and lonely. It felt like a sanctuary. It felt like a place where one man had stood watch alone so that others could be safe with their families. She felt a deep ache in her chest, not of sadness, but of a love she had never fully felt for him before. She had judged him for his quiet life. Now she saw his quiet strength. She put the photograph back in the box. She knew what she had to do. The real estate agent would get a call. She was not selling the lighthouse. Not today. Not ever. She took the key and walked back outside. The wind was fresh and strong. She looked up at the tall, white tower. She took a deep breath, put her hand on the cold metal railing, and began to climb the spiral staircase. Step by step, she went higher. The windows along the way showed her the vast, churning ocean, the gray sky, the white seagulls flying past. She felt closer to him with every step. Finally, she reached the top, the lamp room. The great glass lenses surrounded her, and the powerful light stood in the center, silent for now. She stood there, looking out at the endless water. The horizon was a thin, straight line between the sea and the sky. This was his view. This was what he saw every night. The darkness, the waves, and the hope of the light. She placed her hand on the cool glass of the lamp. She whispered to the wind, "I understand now, Dad. I'll keep the light." She knew that from this night on, she would be the one to watch. She would be the one to guide the ships home. She would carry on his quiet, beautiful work. The lighthouse would not be silent. It would shine, just as he had taught it to. And somewhere, out on the dark sea, a sailor would see the light and know they were safe, just as a little girl in a photograph had been safe years ago. And in that way, her father would always be there, shining in the light.